Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts, Cindy and Kristen.
Hello.
And if you're just tuning in to us, we are three women that like to talk about everything, and that's what we do on this podcast. Is we talk about everything
Within reason.
Within reason. Within PG reasons.
PG, yeah.
Within
reason.
PG reasons. We're not that kind of podcast. But anyway, welcome back, and today we have a fun topic because I love our metaphysical topics. We're talking about crystals.
Yay!
And of course, this is something that we all like to collect and go to the metaphysical stores and buy random crystals. Last Christmas, we went to Great Wolf Lodge and we had a good time, even though I was really super sick. But, Great Wolf Lodge added this like a new different thing, like you are mining kind of, or it does like a simulation of your mining.
Like
you get
pan
mining, yeah. And so we all got to experience that where we were, like pan mining. We got a free bag of dirt that we could pan mine, some like raw rocks and crystals, which we got a lot of things like amethyst and quartz.
I haven't even gone through my bag to remember what all I keep meaning to, and I keep looking at that little bag sitting over there, and I keep thinking, I need to go catalog all the ones I got, because there was quite a few in there. Yeah.
And I really need to go through what I have and catalog what I have, because I keep buying more, and I go and I buy these crystals, and the reason I buy these crystals is like I really like crystal healing, or the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Several years ago, I started I've always had crystals. I've always carried crystals. I was always that weird kid that was like, hey, look at my rocks. Hey, look at my crystals. I know we're not supposed to call them rocks, but Yeah, like people get all up in arms about that, but whatever. I have been collecting crystals for as long as I can remember. And my other best friend, Stacy, and we would go, and I think I've mentioned this in a past podcast, we would go with her parents, and we would go rock and crystal hunting. And so we would go different places in Texas and in Oklahoma and rock and crystal hunting. And then her parents had the tumblers and everything in their garage that they tumbled and polished crystals with. Mm-hmm. And that was always something fun that we liked to do when we were younger, elementary school age, was find rocks and crystals and tumble them. And then, that's when I started my collection, was elementary-ish school age, probably like 4th, 5th grade. And so then, they had like those cool stores in the mall where you could go and pick out the different tumbled rocks and crystals, like, hey, look. And then, they came with like the little card thing. This is what, these mean and everything like that. And I was really into that as a kid. So as I got older, I started really getting into the the meaning behind crystals. That's probably one of my, other than tarot cards, of course, that's probably one of my most favorite metaphysical things. Actually, I like a lot of metaphysical things, but it is like I have a lot of books on crystals, and I have a humongous crystal collection that I don't even know what I have because it's all boxed up. And like that's starting with like my childhood crystals all the way through adult. And I have an ex coworker named Ben, and we used to go like rock and crystal shopping. We would go to estate sales on the weekend and rock and like check out like these estate sales that have, as he called them, specimens. Yeah, he
yes.
was
He was
really
more
like,
scientific about it.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
more, I was more on the crystal healing side, and he was more of the scientific about it. And he had them all meticulously labeled.
Oh.
Because they are
And
specimens.
yeah,
Yeah.
'cause he had all of the specimens labeled. He still does.
We'll
But
have we'll have to discuss some of that. I would like to know more about that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, he had them all labeled and everything. So that was like, that's always been like a hobby of mine,
mhm.
crystals. So what about y'all? Like,
I was kind of the same. My initial love of what we refer to as crystals started from physical science class in junior high. I had
Yeah.
a great teacher. His name was Mr. Parks, and I loved geology
yeah,
and learning about the rocks, the minerals, whatever, and so
yeah, I ended up taking that in college
Yeah.
as like an.
Me too.
Yeah, we both took it. Didn't we take it at the same time?
and
No, I
I
think you
loved
took
it.
it
Now I
first.
never had a rock tumbler, but when Kristen was young, I tried to get her to like them too, which apparently I did. But I think she wound up with a rock tumbler. Well, I know she wound up with a rock tumbler. I can't remember if it was a birthday or a Christmas gift or what, but and that was a lot of fun. And I've always wanted to start doing that again, but it's just listening to that tumbler going for hours and days and
Yeah,
can get kind of
it's a
annoying
lot.
if you don't have a place to do it, away from the house.
Yeah,
And but I just loved, I always loved the different rocks and minerals and the geology of the earth in general. So and crystal formations are especially a favorite of mine because they're so beautiful. And crystal formations is what becomes what we call gemstones
Yes.
usually. And so a lot of the stones or crystals that people collect for metaphysical purposes are either gemstones or semi-precious stones as well. And so, there's just a lot of they're beautiful, and they come in every color under the sun. And they're just
gorgeous. Yes,
they're gorgeous. Yeah. And I like everything from small super polished, beads up to huge crystal chunks.
Yeah.
And I have quite a few of them around the house. Now you were talking about organizing them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know how your friend organized his with labels.
Uh-huh.
I have mine. They're not organized physically, but I do keep an app on my phone where I have them all cataloged. And that is
Okay.
called the Rock ID app.
Yes, I have that on my phone
And
too.
I love it because it will sometimes, it's not always perfectly accurate. You can sometimes have to go through,
and he used that as well.
go through suggestions and see if there's a different option there, because sometimes it'll misidentify things. But once you catalog it, then there you have it. And then you can look it up and go, oh yeah, that one is this, or whatever. And I do like having that so that I can refer back. Even when I'm shopping or collecting, I can go back on my phone and say, oh, I already have one of those. I don't need to buy one of those or whatever, unless I
Yeah.
just want to. So, Kristen?
I mean, I think my first time realizing that I really liked rocks, I'll just say rocks, because they weren't crystals at the time.
They
were
weren't crystals
literally
when I
just
did
rocks.
them. They were rocks. Yeah.
Was we had like a dirt road that like our street stopped and then the dirt road started and there were lots of rocks out there because I think the road was kind of paved with caliche and
gravel. Well, the
and
gravel. I
gravel.
think most
It
of the
was
gravel
really the
was
gravel that
the
got
gravel
me.
came from the parking lot of the
Mhm.
church that was next door to
Oh,
us.
I used
yeah.
to love to go out and just dig in the gravel. That's literally what I would do.
Yes.
I would go and hunt for rocks in the gravel, unique rocks. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to do that at school too. If I saw a cool rock on the ground or at the playground, I would pick them up. The playgrounds when I was growing up were pebbles. They were
Yeah.
not the foamy cool stuff that they have to protect your knees. They were
Right.
rocks. Yeah. So I was always the kid that was digging in the rocks while everyone else is playing on the swings.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too. Like I had like a big. Oh, my mom used to get so mad at me. I had a big hole that I had dug
Oh.
in the backyard, digging for things and
Uh-huh.
filling it with water, and then like amateur panning for things.
The
and
rocks,
then
yeah.
and then of course our dog like made the hole worse, and but I mean, they knew it was me. I wasn't like, oh, the dog did it. No. It was me.
Nope.
Digging in the dirt.
Yeah, I was always digging in the dirt, and I liked getting like the little fossils and the seashells that were in
Oh,
those.
yeah, yeah.
Because I think they're like riverbed rocks that they use.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really funny too because we took Raina a couple of times on the canoe trip, but the first time we took her, we stopped at this little sandbar to take lunch or a break or whatever, and she was just like obsessed with the rocks
Yes, she was.
in the water because the whole bottom of the river is just all rocks, and the water was really shallow on the sandbar, so she was just sitting there just like sifting through the rocks, and just like we literally had to pull her away to eat. And I just thought that was really funny because I could see myself as a kid doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I also do that whenever I go to the beach. I'm the seashell person.
Oh, yeah. I like to sit in the stand. Everybody's like all out in the water, and I like to sit on the shore and just dig through the seashells.
Yep. So I took the geology class, Amber, to answer your question earlier. You took it the first semester, and then I took it the second semester because I was like, oh, I'd rather take that than biology because
Right.
to me, like, biology in college is for medical majors and science majors, and I
Yeah.
wasn't going for that. I needed, something less involved because biology is actually, although it is an easy class, it is actually targeted for medical majors.
for science majors.
So I was like, okay, I don't want to get stuck in a biology class. So I ended up taking geology because Amber had good success with the class and said it was really interesting. And I actually really enjoyed that class. I enjoyed, identifying the minerals and doing the Mohs scale of hardness to figure out which minerals they
Right.
were based on that method. And, just like learning about the different types of formations and stuff. I think whenever I'm looking at crystals now, that's kind of one of the things that I like to look at is like, certain crystals have different properties of how they're formed.
Right.
And I think that's what makes some of them really, really, really unique.
Right.
Um,
Like sedimentary
Sedimentary,
rocks and igneous rocks and
Yeah.
well, and like a crystal has more of like a geometric shape.
Yes,
So
because it technically grows in a way.
in a specific way that
yes.
that makes it have that like hexagonal like
Properties,
layers and
yes.
stuff like that or whatever. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head all of those scientific things, but it's really like when you're looking in the books and
Oh yeah,
it's explaining it, it's kind of cool because when you actually hold that rock or crystal, whatever you want to call it, in your hand and you're looking at, you can see that this one is completely different from this one over here.
Right,
It's
right.
not just about their color, but like the temperatures that they hold and how hard they are. Do they rub off onto a piece of paper when you scratch them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like hematite, whenever you rub it, it makes like a red mark.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Um,
there are some that you pour water on it and it completely
Dissolves.
ruins them. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's really cool. And there's also, if we're talking about just like the elements, right? Some of them you put in water and they explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Or
So-
they off-put gases.
Yeah.
So
That was my favorite thing about geology. And then also just like learning about how the earth was formed
mhm.
and then the different layers of earth
Mhm.
and the different types of rocks that make up the layers of earth.
Right.
That was like one of my favorite things. And then just like looking at like the history about, just like the world and how it was formed and how it was shaped and everything like that.
all the
and
little
like,
treasures inside, because to me
Yeah.
that's what
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like crystals are just like these little treasures all
Like-
over the
like
planet.
cracking open a geode to see what the
Yes.
treasure is on the
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
and that's definitely like just like the hunt and the find. Everywhere I go, I pick up rocks. And when we went to Martha a couple of summers ago, we went to a rock shop. We went to a
Yes.
couple of shops that had
Yes.
rocks, and we went to a couple of metaphysical shops, and then we met this nice old man that had like this cool rock shop out in the middle
Yes.
of nowhere.
Yep.
And we came back with like bags of rocks and geodes that
Yeah.
we
Lots
bought.
of cool stuff.
Big,
yes.
cool, nice.
Yeah, I was
ones.
really surprised at how the low cost of. I'm trying to remember what I brought. I think I bought some calcite, some
Mhm.
large calcite crystal clusters, and
Well, yeah, out here they'd be like $100.
oh
We
yeah,
bought it
for that
like
something that size
20.
easily. No, I think it was $10.
They
10?
were
Oh, it was
three for $20.
three
Yeah,
for
$3 for
$20.
$20,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got like a huge geode, and then I got like a huge calcite as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very, very surprising to
Mhm.
me. So, yeah. But I like to look anytime I go into a metaphysical shop, I always look at their crystal collection just to see if they have something unusual or something. You know, I try
Something
to
that draws you.
yeah, and I try to buy things that are like I want like a good selection of different things, but I am really mostly drawn. I do buy some things for their metaphysical purpose, but mostly I buy them just for their appearance. And
Mm-hmm.
but a couple that I use regularly for a metaphysical purpose is selenite, which is one of them that you talk about. Don't
Yeah,
put water on it.
Yeah.
And then black tourmaline, and I usually use them in a pair together, and it's kind of a protection type.
Yeah.
I make a grid. I have a grid with them, and I use them over my doorways and stuff as a protection. And then also green aventurine. I keep that with my money box because it helps protect your money, I think is what it does, or something like that. So I do a few little things like that, but mostly I just have them to look at. I do wear a couple of things on bracelets, like amethyst. I think amethyst is good for anxiety, if I'm not mistaken, and then I use like some howlite sometimes, and I can't remember what else. I have different jewelries that I use, and I like them for that. So, but you talked about wearing crystals, so you wear them. You always have one on your neck. So
Yeah, and I started this several years ago when I first, well, actually it was kind of like right after my mom died, and then when I was going through my divorce, especially, I kind of because I know I've talked about that I not religiously anymore, but I used to a lot go to the farmers market every weekend, and I've even written a blog about going to the farmers market, and that's like my Saturday routine. Well, I met a wonderful woman named Melinda who ended up designing jewelry for my wedding
Mm-hmm.
and jewelry for me to give all of my bridesmaids and all of the ladies in my wedding. And her name is Texas Girl Treasures, and we will link that. But I met Melinda, and who was really into crystal healing and everything like that, and especially essential oils. And she makes essential oil jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought a. I've always been. So they say like your crystal, like the one that represents you is the one that you're the most drawn to.
Okay.
And I've always been drawn to citrine.
I've
love
always
citrine. Yeah. Collected citrine, and I'm currently wearing it. She had the most beautiful, I thought, citrine necklace, and I bought it, and so then that kind of became my mantra when I was going after my mom died, and when I started going through my divorce and everything, and my life just kind of turned upside down. Good vibes and moving forward, those were my mantras. And citrine is a good vibes crystal.
Yes, it's a stone of abundance.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wear it for protection against negative energy, and I have been wearing and carrying citrine. And so then I really started, that's when I really started getting into the crystal healing. And I don't know if it works, but if you believe in it, then it does. And
if it gives you comfort, then why not?
Yeah, and this crystal has given me comfort for years.
Yeah.
So I made a bag of good vibes that I carry with me everywhere. I have a little bag in my bag. Little bag in my bag. Ha ha ha. I have a little bag that I carry with me to work of good vibes crystals. Amethyst, rose quartz, lapis, carnelian, agate, hematite. Those are all tourmaline, like you were talking about. Adventurine, smoky quartz, which is another favorite of mine. Probably my
really
second favorite is smoky quartz. Obsidian, all jasper, all good vibes crystals. And I have this bag of good vibes crystals that I carry with me everywhere. And I even have a crystal charm in my car of bloodstone, which is supposed to bring good fortune. And I did some research, and that is a good stone to have in your car.
Okay.
So I have a vent clip with a bloodstone star, and I bought one for Jason, and he has one in his car as well. So I've just, so I kind of made like this little, like like protection crystal, and then I have obsidian around the house, which is also a protection crystal. And when Jason was having some friendship problems, and he had kind of like a little stalker for a while, an ex-friend of his, this is when we were dating, I put obsidian around his house. I saged his house, and I put a horseshoe up above his door in hope to keep bad vibes out of the house. And so, I wouldn't say that I'm just like a huge practitioner of things, but this is one of the things that I do keep up with and enjoy
Yeah.
in my life. And I enjoy going to the different rock shops and finding the different things. And every time, and I enjoy making my little goodbye vibes bags
Mm-hmm.
and keeping them different places
Mm-hmm.
around my house.
I've actually given little things based on like your good vibes thing
Mm-hmm.
as gifts to people. One year for our Galentine's luncheon that we did, and I think we've talked about that on an episode before.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I
couple of
did.
episodes,
I made
probably.
little key fobs for everybody, and I used like howlite and rose quartz, and I can't remember, but it was the idea was it was more than just red and pink and white stones. They each one carried a little meaning to them, like the howlite and stuff. And then I also put like a piece of lava, a lava bead, basically. I can't remember what you call them, but they're made out of lava, and it's a little bead, and it's it'll absorb the essential oils, and then I put a little bit of a very nice calming essential oil on them and gave those to everybody. And I thought that was kind of fun. It was just kind of a fun little different take on a Galentine gift. So yeah. And like I said, I have several little bracelets. I have a jade bracelet. If I'm not mistaken, jade is involved in healing, and I just wear certain little different ones, and I'll supposedly, depending on which hand you wear it on or which arm you wear it on, changes what the crystal does. So like if you wear it on your left, then you are drawing in those energies, and if you put it on your right hand or your right wrist, then you're giving those energies to other people. So that can be helpful and interesting as well.
Yeah, and I love the because Kristen and I are children of the '90s, which is like the cool decade. Because now, like kids nowadays, they want to be like the '90s. So crystals and tarot cards and all that stuff, witchy stuff, is back in with the kids nowadays. So, and of course, everybody likes to watch TikTok videos and YouTube videos and Reels videos. And, in my little scrolliness, I ran across, and I've sent this to Kristen, and she watches this guy too. But he's a crystal wholesaler, and his wholesale business is called New Nine Crystals. And he's really fun to watch videos of, and how he sells crystals, and he does like these little like games and stuff, and he has like a little spinner thing where you crank it and the little ball, like a little egg or whatever, comes out.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you open
right.
it.
And you get the surprise.
Yeah,
right.
and so he does things like that, and you can go on his website and order like a crystal spin or like a 10 spin and whatever. And like he opens it up and it has like crystal butterflies or something like that. And so then he makes you a crystal box based on what it does. And then like he shows videos of him and his mom. His mom helps him polishing and shaping these crystals.
Okay.
He does it all himself.
Yeah, I like to watch his videos where he's boxing up people's orders. He's really funny too.
There is one. I've only watched her once, but my friend, one of my friends, watches this TikTok person, and they have these big vats. So it's a big tub full of assorted crystals or whatever, and they buy scoops. And so they're doing this live TikTok thing, and you say, I want a scoop, and so you make your payment to them or whatever, and they'll do a scoop for you
of whatever they
whatever
have,
whatever
right?
they can pull up out of there. And and they talk about there's like little mushroom shapes or little angel shapes or whatever, and other things. Yes, I'm not mentioning those, but they laugh. She calls them little mushies, little mushies, and then sometimes they're just polished stones or raw crystals, and they're just all mixed together. And she'll just pull up the scoop, and then she'll tell everybody what was in your scoop, and people just watch it like mesmerized by it. So
Yeah, those are fun videos to watch.
yeah.
And they've kind of started doing those at the metaphysical shows and fairs and stuff, like where you can go and get a scoop.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
they'll make
I saw
those,
that.
They'll make those vats. I know. Recently, I went to the Fort Worth Rock and Gem show, and they had a lady there that did that. And I bought a piece of petrified wood.
Ooh, I love that.
And it was sliced in half, and on the inside, it was a smiley face.
What?
Neat.
Yes, so I'll have to post a picture of that.
That is cool. That is cool.
But that was like the coolest thing that I have bought lately.
That's cool. You talk about the petrified rock, and a lot of people don't, or petrified wood, a lot of people don't realize that it is a stone. It is a rock now, because just like a fossil is no longer the bone from the animal. It is now the minerals of the rock replaced the content of that bone or the content of that tree wood, and so it is wood. Literally.
We haven't even talked about fossils yet.
Oh yeah, I love fossils too. But you're
me, who's named after a fossil.
Well, it's
fossilized tree sap.
Yes.
Amber is fossilized tree sap.
Yeah.
Throwback to our podcast, meaning of the names
Meaning
and
of your names,
nicknames podcast that we did.
Yep. I was kind of I was thinking about finding the fossilized wood, and right before the beginning of the podcast, we were talking about the state of Texas, and it's kind of I don't know, finding natural places to find and recover, stones or crystals or whatever, gems, rocks, whatever you want to call it here. Here in Texas is a little bit challenging because of the kinds of things. It's not necessarily so hard to find petrified wood. And there's fossils, often like ocean creature fossils. But some of the other types of crystals are the more pretty ones, are a lot more rare here. So like you can go to like Arkansas, and there's Crater of Diamonds Park where you can go dig for your own diamonds, and people find actual diamonds there. And the thing with that is that the diamonds are being created way, way underground, but because the earth turns, they're always getting pushed up to the surface. And it's not that they're digging for the diamonds, they're just coming up to the surface. And then all you have to do is sift through the dirt to find them if you know what you're looking for. Whereas I don't know of any mines, crystal mines, or anything like that here in Texas. I know you've mentioned a book before, Amber, and I can't remember what it's called. I did buy a copy of that book, and I, for the life of me, cannot find it right now. But I looked through it, and I was so disappointed when I saw that there weren't like these places like Crater of Diamonds where you could just go find things.
Cool stuff in Texas.
Yeah, cool stuff in Texas. And so most of the ones they mentioned were like on the side of a road. You're on public land, so you're in the ditch of the road or whatever, sifting through whatever's come up to the surface there, or whatever it was paved with, or whatever. But not really any quarries or mines or anything like that I know of.
Oh, well, speaking of mines, because you guys were talking about pan mining. It's called panning.
Yes.
And there's different types of mining. And since we were talking about it now, there's 4 types of mining that are most common. There's surface mining, which is probably the kind that you would see like the big quarries, where they kind of spiral down into a hole a lot of times, which there's not. I mean, there are some of those out here.
Right.
But they're
privately owned.
And they're not for things like that you want to collect, right?
So
they're for minerals.
Right. There's like gypsum and
exactly. Yeah, there's a
like
lot
that.
of those out here.
Yes. So,
so there's that type of surface mining, and there's different types of surface mining in itself. For example, there's strip mining, open pit mining, which is where they go down in a circle, and then there's mountaintop removal.
Right.
Now, the other type of mining that you're thinking of that's also not common here, because we don't have
the minerals that they're digging.
Well, and we don't have as many mountainous range. Like Arkansas has a ton of mountains. Too.
Right.
And so those are the types of conditions that bring about those minerals that we're interested in. So, there's room and pillar mining. This is your underground mining, okay?
Right.
Room and pillar, black caving, and longwall mining. And then panning, which is called placer mining. So that's going to be, the panning is using the water to separate the gold particles or whatever. And then the last one I'm not very familiar with is called in-situ mining. So I believe that... that one is...
Spell that.
It's IN-STU.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So in-situ mining is also known as solution mining. I'm not as familiar with it, but it makes sense. So you're actually like leaving the ore where it is in the ground and then recovering the minerals from it by dissolving them and pumping the solution.
Oh.
So... Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't...
so that's not a crystal... That would not be a way to collect crystals.
Exactly.
That's probably like pulling...
Not the kind of mining that...
Right.
Yeah.
That would not be helpful. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I did find my little book here. It's called... And Amber had referenced this before on another book or on another podcast. I don't remember which one it was. But it's called Rock Hunting in Texas, Where to Go and What to Look For. And I found a used copy on Amazon. So this is a pretty rare book here as far as finding this. And it's interesting, but like I said, I was really very disappointed that the sites that they were listing were not, it's like go down, Highway 49 until you get to the blah, blah, blah. And over on the side of the road. I mean, really, literally, this is what this stuff says. So, and they find there's stuff there, but it's not necessarily the stuff that I'm always going to look for. So, here's one the entry on here. Closer to McDonald Observatory on 118, we found small calcite crystals in sedimentary rock and light olive green chalcedony. That's all it says. It doesn't say, specifically where or anything. And, like I said, I'm just, I was very disappointed that it wasn't a better book than that. I'm like, people know, people who go hunting for rocks and crystals know where to go get them, but they are not sharing. That's the thing. They're not sharing that information.
They're gatekeeping because they want to get them and then overprice them.
Yeah. So, I was really, like I said, really...
Yeah, it's really like I did And they are like that because I tried to get out of my friend where she buys her
Mm-hmm.
crystals to make her necklace, and she will not disclose
She
where
probably
she
gets
buys
them
them.
overseas. I would guarantee you that anybody that is making jewelry out of crystals here
Mhm.
is getting them internationally and shipping them here. And they're buying them for rock bottom prices because
And they're not
Yeah.
always the most ethically.
ethically sourced. Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, I just
But
yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, everybody that's like doing it, I don't know how they're finding out about it because like even internet searches are really hard
Yeah.
to find because I just want them to have them. I don't really like want to go and
Resell them or
resell
whatever.
them
Yeah.
or make jewelry out of them.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes it really hard. It does. It makes it really hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the reason I bought this book after you mentioned it was because I wanted to take some fun little excursions
Mm-hmm.
and go, and especially after we had gone a couple of years ago, we went camping in Arkansas and we went to Crater of Diamonds and we didn't get to spend hardly any time there. I think I've mentioned that on the podcast before too, but we barely got to spend any time there, and I really wanted to spend more time. You know, even if I don't get a diamond, there are other rocks and minerals that you can pan for there, and it's just fun to spend the day digging in the dirt. Really, it is.
Yeah.
Being outdoors and doing something like that with your family, and so I just wanted to spend more time doing it, and then. After I had been there, other people kept telling me, well, there's these other places where you can go, like pick up quartz and other things in Arkansas. And I was like, okay, well, tell me where they are. And then nobody can tell you where they are. It's like, okay. So I got this book thinking, okay, well, maybe there's some places in Texas and I can, just make a little excursion over there and go see what I can find. And so I wasn't really thrilled with that, I guess. So, but there are some crystals here in Texas. Chalcedony, topaz is one of them.
Mhm.
Petrified wood,
Fluorite.
dolomite, flint is another one that's common. Trying to think what else. I just ran across obsidian, opal, quartz. Those are pretty common here. Calcite. Did I say calcite? Hematite. So there are things here, but you really just kind of have to know where to go look. And I don't know that there are any of them really in this North Texas area around Dallas.
There's
that we
really
are.
not. I'm looking at this. It's called rockhounding.org.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'm looking at this map of Texas, and there's really not.
There's not.
It's all
Yeah.
South Texas.
Yes.
Like, and a lot of it is where we went, like the Marfa, Terlingua,
Yes.
Big Bend
Yes.
area.
Yes.
Where the mountains are.
So
Yeah, exactly.
in this area
Or
of
Palidoro area.
we're what they're calling
Short
what we
mountains.
call here North Texas, but this
Canyon.
book calls East Texas, which
Inverted mountain.
is what I think it is East Texas. Chalcedony, halite, limonite, petrified rock, and sulfur. In fact, there is a place called Sulphur Springs. So there's a place down by Crockett, Caney Creek, Caddo Lake, and that's it. That's all they name for this whole geographical region that is larger than some of our states in the Northeast. So So it's just really
So
not a thing here.
interestingly enough, I think the reason why the majority of Texas doesn't have, big mining opportunities because it used to be underwater.
Well, I know. That's
Right.
why I say that's why the fossils are predominantly
Everywhere you go. And the
they're
other
sea
type
life
of rocks that we see in the dirt are the riverbed rocks.
that have washed here or whatever.
Yeah, they're just still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit different. You do have to be aware though that if you are collecting rocks from the wild, you have to be aware of where you're collecting from and find out whether it is allowed at the place where you are collecting from. So, for instance, state and national parks, it is not allowed to collect rocks or any kind of specimens. You are not allowed to do that, and it is a crime. So, don't do that. And you also want to keep in mind, if every single person that came upon that site took one rock.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find.
Well, it's if every single person came and took a rock from that location, then that location would become depleted. And you may be messing with the ecosystem of that area, so it's not always a good thing to collect the rocks. It might be better to take a picture of the rocks or only collect the rocks that you really feel like you need to collect, or collect them from a place where it is authorized to collect from. So that's just something to keep in mind, to have ethical rock hunting. So
Okay, so according to rockhounding.org, you were asking about Dallas Fort Worth area, and it's really like I guess this is part of Dallas Fort Worth area, but like between Midlothian and Waxahachie.
Oh, so there's an area there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's an area there, and then there's an area kind of between off 287, kind of like between Mansfield and Midlothian.
Okay.
And these are non-national park areas.
Okay.
Like but that area is really like known for like Dinosaur Valley State Park,
right,
and all of the fossils and everything like that.
Right.
Where you are likely, it's talking about you are likely to find fossils just in that area, not necessarily even in the state park,
Right,
but
right.
outside of the state park.
Right.
And
Because there
since
was so much
Texas was underwater
there. Yeah.
you're likely to find a lot of fossilized shark teeth.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
makes
then some
sense.
pyrite also.
Okay.
And that is like what we mainly hunted whenever I was with Stacy and her parents. We went to a lot of the pyrite places here
Okay.
in Texas.
Okay. Now I had a grandfather. He also sometimes collected stones, but more often he collected arrowheads. Now arrowheads are often made out of some of these harder rocks and minerals and stuff. And so if you're hunting for arrowheads in areas that are known for arrowheads, there's no telling what you could find. And you will often find flint in those areas as well, where the Native Americans have used flint to start their fires or whatever. So that's
So yeah, what you'll find up here in the North Texas area is either fossils or pyrite, because the location that we would often go hunting for pyrite over in the Sunset Bridgeport area.
Okay.
What Alvoid area is still on the map, and when this was like 20 something years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And it was kind of depleted back then.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and this is according to rockhound.org.
Yeah. I think I ran across that website when I was looking for places to go, but I didn't really. And I think that was where I found out about where it was legal and not legal to pick up rocks and things. So
But yeah, other than that, nothing in the
Yeah.
Dallas Fort Worth area.
yeah. Now that doesn't mean you won't find things.
Well, yeah,
because-
there's just nothing reported that, hey, there's
right.
a
There's not a big
large amount of
source. Right.
fossils in this area.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that you won't find
Now,
anything.
going back to a thing about large amount of fossils, I did just read an article. I think it was from last year, but just recently read it about them discovering lots of fossils in, I believe it was Paladura Canyon, and they found what was called a buffalo jump. And what it was, or a bison jump, I think is what it's called. Anyway, what it is where the natives, like we're talking thousands of years ago, had scared a herd of buffalo or bison and had herded them off the cliff to harvest the meat and the hides. And they found evidence that they had done that multiple times. And I thought that was very interesting. So that is another type of fossil find there.
Well, see, according to this site, you can get a lot of agatized wood over in the Paladuro Canyon
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
Agatized.
Yeah,
With agate.
agatized
it's-
wood.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Where they've both gone together.
Blended. Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And then, of course, the fossils. Ooh, and some flint. Or Vernon alabaster.
That's a water. Isn't alabaster an underwater thing? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
And just across the border in Oklahoma, malachite.
Okay.
Yeah, not far. Like just across the border in Oklahoma.
Okay.
But yeah, Oklahoma is more of a.
Well, I know one of the things that's very popular and very common in West Texas, I don't know that they're actually finding it in West Texas, but over in New Mexico and Colorado is turquoise. So turquoise is a very common, the natives used it. It's become part of the Southwest.
I think that's one of my
Aesthetic.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of places, and like according to this map, there are a lot of places that you can rock hound in New Mexico.
New Mexico, right.
And not a lot of like national park area where you're
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
Gosh, New Mexico doesn't have a lot of national parks like Texas does,
Well,
or you know,
Texas,
state parks or whatever.
right, right.
National,
Now,
yeah.
New Mexico has large. They have large parks, so they have like the. I think
Yeah,
it's
they
the
have some
Lincoln
large-
National Forest. I'm trying to Carlsbad Caverns.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do have those areas.
White
They're just like
sands.
there's just like a lot of like sandy dead space.
Yeah.
As well.
The thing about New Mexico is it's very different, like Texas is. Down in the south, it's primarily desert region. That's where you're gonna find, and part of the western part also is very arid, and you'll find lots of, like desert things and stuff like that, and the white sands. And the Carlsbad Caverns, those are kind of towards the south. And then as you move north and west, you get into the mountain ranges. And the mountain ranges start out pretty arid, but then you get into the forested areas as well. And there's some really varied terrain there. There are old dormant volcanoes.
yeah,
yeah,
you
it's-
can get
it's-
lots of geodes over there.
Yeah. And so the geography too.
Both.
But the geology of that
Geographic
state
formation.
is very different, across the state. So,
And I love that. Like all of that is just like so fascinating.
oh
to
yeah,
me.
it is. It is.
Well, gosh, we want to hear from our readers, huh? Like y'all, we shared our stories about rocks and everything, like
Right.
rocks and gems, and our adventures. And we want to hear from you guys. We want y'all to send us a message and let us know what kind of rock adventures you've been on, or if you have any favorite crystals, if you like to wear healing crystals.
Or if you have a secret place where you go find crystals.
Yes, we want to know those secret. We want to know that place so we can go to.
Yes. Yes.
So what are we talking about next week?
Next week, I'm going to give a personal update, so you'll want to tune in. A lot
Yep.
of things going on in my life, and I'm ready to share.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll be great. All right, guys. Well, like and subscribe. Give us a share. Check us out. Check out our Heard It on the Podcast blog. Check out our Facebook page, our MMC chat page.
Yep.
And let us know what you think of the episode. And we will tune in, and you tune in next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.